We will lead by having the highest standards of civil liberties and civil rights and human rights and due process and rule of law, which is why we have to close Guantanamo and restore habeas corpus. Because you will have a president who has taught the Constitution and believes in the Constitution and will obey the Constitution of the United States of America. All these things are possible if you are committed to change. You know, as this primary has gone on a little bit longer, you know, there have been people who've been voicing some frustration. They've been saying, oh, you know, the campaigns are going at it back and forth, and you know, we feel like that initial hopefulness that we had now is kind of slipping away. I want everybody to understand that this has been a great contest, great for America. It's engaged and involved people like never before. I think it's terrific that Senator Clinton's supporters have been as passionate as my supporters have been, because that means the people are invested and engaged in this process. And I am absolutely confident that when this primary season is all over, Democrats will be united, because we understand what's at stake in this election. I have the greatest admiration for the service of John McCain. He is a genuine American hero. He is a genuine American hero. He has sacrificed on behalf of all of us. And he deserves our honor and our respect. But everybody has to understand what's at stake in this election. I mean, John McCain has suggested that we might leave our troops in Iraq for another 100 years. John McCain has suggested that he will continue the same Bush economic policies that have gotten us into this fix right now. John McCain is clinging to the past. He is running for George Bush's third term. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, how are we going to debate John McCain? Do we want to debate John McCain with somebody who agreed with him on the war in Iraq? Or do we want to debate him with somebody who had the courage to stand up and say this is a bad idea? You want to debate John McCain about who's been in Washington longer? Because that's the debate John McCain will win. Or do you want to debate John McCain about who's actually going to bring about change in Washington? Because that's a debate that we will win. I believe that the Democrats will be unified as soon as this nomination is settled. We will be unified because we understand that we are not going to be clinging to the policies of the past. We are the party of the future. We don't want to look backwards. We are marching forward. That's what's at stake in this election. That's what this campaign has been about, and that's what I want to bring about as President of the United States of America. So let me just close by saying this. Remember I told you that Senator Clinton and Senator McCain and George Bush, all three of them have been somewhat critical about my campaign. They say he gives a good speech, but he hasn't been in Washington long enough. See, they think I need to be seasoned and stewed a little bit longer. They want to boil all the hope out of me. In fact, they give me a hard time about talking about hope. You know, and it's true, I do talk about hope a lot. I put hope on my signs. I gave a speech in the convention in 2004 about hope. I wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. It's not surprising that I talk about hope, because if you think about it, the likelihood of me standing here is very unlikely. I was born to a teenage mother. My father left when I was 2. I was raised by a single mom and my grandparents. And they didn't have a lot of money. What they could give me was love, they'd give me an education, and they could give me hope. And so when I hear people saying, well, why is he talking about hope? He's peddling false hopes. He needs a reality check. He's not a realist. He's too naive. He's too idealistic. They misunderstand the nature of hope. You know, hope is not being blindly optimistic. Hope's not about being naive. It's not about somehow ignoring the challenges that stand between you and what you want to achieve. I know how hard it will be to provide health care to every American. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how hard it is to battle against the status quo and change our energy policy. ExxonMobil doesn't want to give up its profits. I know how hard it will be to fix our schools, because it's not just a matter of more money. We've also got to change a culture. Our parents are going to have to insist on their children achieving. We're going to turn off the television sets and put away the video games and talk about responsibilities of everybody to improve our education system. That's not easy to do. I know these things are hard because I have fought on the streets as an organizer. I fought in the courts as a civil rights attorney. I have fought in the legislature. And I've won some battles, but I've lost some too, because good intentions aren't enough. Good intentions aren't enough when you're taking on the status quo. You got to have political will, and you've got to have political power. And I know how easy it is to divide Americans, to find scapegoats, to use people who are different than us as a way to distract attention from the failures of our political system. We talk about gay people, or we talk about immigrants, or we find somebody somewhere who's at fault instead of thinking about how we can bring ourselves together. I know how hard it is to bring about change, but I also know this, that nothing worthwhile in this country has ever happened that's worthwhile except somebody somewhere was willing to hope. That's how this country was founded, a band of patriots declaring independence against the mighty British Empire. Nobody gave them a chance, and yet they had hope. That's how the greatest generation, my grandfather fighting in Patton's army in World War II, helping to defeat fascism while my grandmother was at home with a baby and working on a bomber assembly line. How that greatest generation not only defeated Hitler, but lifted itself up out of a Great Depression because they had hope. That's how workers won the right to organize against violence and intimidation. That's how women won the right to vote. That's how young people like you traveled down south in the 60s, and you marched, and you sat in, and some went to jail, and some were beaten, and some died for freedom's cause. That's what hope is. That's what hope is. Imagining and then fighting for what did not seem possible before. And Pennsylvania, that's the moment that we are in right now. There is a moment in the life of every generation where that spirit has to come through, where we cast aside the doubt and the cynicism and the disappointments and the fear, and we decide, you know what, we're going to join arm in arm. And we are going to work block by block, county by county, state by state, to create a better future for our children and our grandchildren, where we are not willing to settle for what the cynics tell us we have to accept, but we reach for something better. That's how this country has always made progress. In Pennsylvania, this is our moment. This is our time. And if you will stand with me, if you will not just vote for me, but organize with me and march with me and speak out, then I promise you, we will not just win Pennsylvania. We will win this nomination. We will win this general election. And you and I together, we will transform this country, and we will transform the world. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.